My heartiest welcome to you all to this installment of lecture annotation video. In this lecture, we will see firsthand how the first generation of computer actually executes an instruction and the data passing between the main memory and the CPU. Now let's begin. At the first, I want to draw your attention to this figure. This whole figure is the organization of the CPU and the main memory of the IaaS computer. IaaS, we all know, is a first generation of computer. Now, here is a correction of sorts. This should be 4095 and this should be 4096 and this should be 4095 and this should be 4094. You should be prepared about this error because I will ask you about them. Now let's start. Now, I have told you before in your online class that you should draw this figure beforehand before I describe, because I will describe and simultaneously go through the slides. Now let's go to the first description of this organization of the CPU and main memory of the IaaS computer. At first, we have to draw our attention that two main parts of the CPU. There are two main parts of the CPU. One is program control unit and another is data processing unit. Now, what does this program control unit performs? It fetches instruction. And what does this data processing unit performs? It executes instructions. Therefore, program control unit is otherwise known as I unit or instruction unit, and the data processing unit is called the E unit or the execution unit. So from where the program control unit fetches its instructions from? It fetches its instruction from the main memory and interprets them, which is why it is known as program control unit, because it controls the execution of the program, or in other words, it controls the instructions of the program. And then the data processing unit, it processes the data, it calculates the operations and stores the results in the main memory. So that is why it is called data processing unit. Let me go back here. This is the program control unit. It is also called the I unit, which fetches the data. And this is the data processing unit, DPU. It is called the E unit or execution unit, which executes the instruction and stores the data to the main memory. Now let's go to the next slide. The main components of the PCU are, we have already learned that PCU is the I unit or the instruction unit. Now the instruction register IR, which stores the opcode that is currently being executed, and the program counter PC, which automatically stores and keeps track of the address of the next instruction to be fetched. PC has circuits to interpret opcodes and to issue control signals to DPU, that is the data processing unit, and main memory M, and other circuits involved in executing instructions. The PCU can modify the instruction sequence when required to do so by branch instructions. Now, the instruction register. We will see in this figure, here is the instruction register and here is the program counter PC. Instruction counter, instruction register and program counter collaborates to decode the instruction. Instruction register provides the instruction to be executed and program counter decides what is the next step of the program. Next instruction of the program the CPU should execute and where the next instruction in the main memory resides. Now let's go further. Here we talk about another two registers that are found in the PCU, which are address register AR and the instruction buffer register IBR. IBR, instruction buffer register. It is to be noted that the IAS has the unusual feature of fetching two instructions at a time from main memory M. Therefore, the first instruction to be executed is stored in the instruction register IR and the extra second instruction is stored in the instruction buffer register IBR for holding the second instruction. And in the address register AR in the PCU that holds the address of a data operand to be fetched from or sent to main memory. Now this is the address register which holds the address of a data operand that we are executing, and it fetches that data from that address. Or if we want to store a data in the main memory, it holds the address of that memory location. Now here, for address register and the instruction buffer register perform this task. If we want to get a data from main memory, the address is stored in address register. If we want to send any data to the main memory, the address of the memory location is stored in the address register. And for the IBR or next instruction buffer register, it stores the instructions which is to be executed after the instruction in the IR or instruction register has been executed. Now these are the basic description of the registers of the PCU or program control unit. Now we are going to go for the DPU or data processing unit. Now in the DPU, we see that there are ALU, two general purpose 40-bit data registers, accumulator and data register. And it also has a special purpose data register or MQ, multiplier quotient register, intended for use by multiply and divide instructions. Now, what do we see here is that we are talking about the data processing unit or the DPU. It consists of the following units: arithmetic logic unit, general purpose data register DR, accumulator, and multiplier quotient register. These helps us execute any types of instruction in the first generation computers. Now, arithmetic logic unit or the ALU, which contains the circuits that performs addition, multiplication, etc. as required by the instructions, opcodes and several data registers, which store data words temporarily during program execution. Now let's move forward so that we can focus on the main memory in detail. In the main memory, we have 4096 or 4K word or 4096 into 40-bit array of storage cells. So what I have already shown you is that this is the main memory and we have this 4096 number of array indexes or array locations, each of 40-bit. Each index is of 40-bit. It is a kind of array. It would be very easy to get that idea. To picture the idea in terms of array. And then each storage location in M is associated with a unique 12-bit number called its address, which the CPU uses to refer to that location. For example, if we want to address or reference this location, it has a 12-bit address and each location or each index is similarly defined in a 12-bit combination of strings or bits, which is which identifies a location specifically. To read data from a particular memory location, we need this 12-bit address or store. We must have that address. From here on, we will address this address as a variable x. So for any address x, it has a 12-bit number which is called address and which it subsequently stored in the program counter or accumulator register or address register, not accumulator. Now let's move forward. If we want to read if we want to read a data from the main memory, we need the control signal to specify that it is for read methods only. And if we want to write or store a data, we want the control signal to specify that it is a write signal, that has to be write instruction that has to be performed. So in this slide, we will see how these things work. We are kind of familiar with this type of mechanism. In our we have done some file read or write operations in our C course, and there we have seen that if we want to read something from a file, only read operation is executed. In we have to open that file in a read mode. If we want to write to a file, we have to open it in a write mode. This is what happens here. The CPU accomplishes achieve or complete the read operation by sending the address X. It is a 12-bit address to M, the main memory M, accompanied by control signals that specify read X with a control signal read. M responds by transferring a copy of MX, the data in the memory location X, the word stored at the address X, to the CPU, where it is loaded into the data register. What happens here is that if we want to read a data, we request to the main memory with X and read, and then the main memory gives a copy of the data and it goes to be loaded in the data register DR. In a similar way, the CPU writes new data into the main memory by sending to M the destination address X, a data word D to be stored, and control signals that specify write. That is, if we want to write a data word D in memory location of X, we need to accompany the instruction kind of like this: memory location data, and then the write instruction or control signal. Now this is how the main memory works for read and write. Now let's go further. This is kind of the instruction sets collection. The IAS, the first generation computer of IAS, had around 30 types of instructions which were used to perform a program. These were chosen to provide a balance between application needs. The machine focuses on numerical computation for scientific application and computer hardware costs as they existed at that time. They could have instruction more than 30 types, but in order to focus on the numerical computation and computer hardware cost, they reduced that instruction set to only 30 types. And to represent these instructions, they had used a notation called hardware description language, or HDL, or register transfer language, RTL. that approximates the assembly language used to prepare programs for the computer. The designers of the IIS computer also used such a descriptive language. So in other words, they used to describe hardware description language and register transfer language, which approximated the assembly language to prepare the programs for the computer. And the designers always use these kind of descriptive languages. So it would be easier for anyone to pick up that description and be proficient in executing the instructions. Now here we see an instruction set, an IAS program which adds two numbers stored in the main memory. This is the first instruction, this is the second instruction, and this is the third instruction. Now, the target of this program is to add two numbers stored in the main memory. The first task is to load the contents of the memory location of 100 into the accumulator. Let's draw a kind of memory, main memory M. Now, this is the memory location of M, and we have a data 1 here. The first instruction, accumulator, is filled with the data that we have in the memory location 100, and then we add this data, the data in the accumulator, with a data in the memory location 101, the data 2, and finally we store the value of the addition in memory location 102. It would be difficult, but you would get this idea. 102 will have the result of that addition program, and this is how this instruction set actually works. Now this is the instruction execution process. The first thing the IAS computer do is to fetch and execute instructions in several steps that form an instruction cycle. Since two instructions are packed into a 40-bit word, that is a memory location, each memory location is 40-bit, and it has 4K of the main memory. And now these instructions are fetched two at a time, as we have learned earlier. One is put in the instruction register IR, and another is put in the instruction buffer register, next instruction buffer register IBR, and its address fields, if any, placed in the address register AR. Any kind of address that needs to be executed in the instruction is stored in the address register AR. The other instruction is transferred to the IBR for possible later execution. Whenever the next instruction needed by the CPU is not in IBR, the program counter PC is incremented to generate the next instruction address. Now these are some of the instruction set of the IAS computer. This instruction is used for data transfer. This instruction is used for data processing. And this instruction is used for program control. Go to is a kind of keyword we have already seen. It branches a program, take the next instruction from that particular memory location, and the data transfer is such that the multiplier quotient is transferring data to the accumulator, and the data processing that is adding the memory location data with the accumulator data and storing the result in the accumulator temporarily. And in the program control, we go to a specific memory location and get the data from the left half of memory location for the next instruction. And this is the basis of working procedure, the basic working procedure of an IAS computer. Now here we see the critical limitation of first generation of computers. It is kind of a memorizing topic, so I will let you self-study in here. This particular slide should be self-studied by you. If you have any question, ask me in the Google Meet and I will try to relieve you of your worry. Now let's go to the second generation of computer. This second generation is a bit improved from the first generation. We will see here in the we will talk from here in the next video. Hopefully you get the description or the basic principles of how the IAS computer works. If you have any questions, you should feel free to ask me. I will start from here in the next video. Thank you all for listening to my lecture. I hope that you understand it. If you face any problems, feel free to contact me and I will answer your questions regarding this material. Thank you all.